program. The title of his speech is Improv Yourself, and it's a persuasive speech, and it'll be a 5 to 7 minute speech. And he's looking to utilize his pauses and work on his ums, and he's trying to stay relaxed and, of course, persuade us. So.
Perfect. Let's all welcome Kurt.
You cannot spell improve without improv. How many of y'all doing a resolution, a New Year's resolution? It's about half the room. That's the statistic in the industry. About half of Americans do make a New Year's resolution, and only 8% achieve their resolution. I am obsessed with this industry and concept of self-help, self-improvement. I've done everything so that you don't have to. In fact, I will buy you a beer if you can bring to me any self-help program that I have not heard of. Some of the interesting ones that I'm doing right now, Wim Hof has me doing cold showers. Marie Kondo has me holding my objects and seeing if they spark joy, and if not, I throw them out. That helps me declutter. And I am signed up for a psychedelic retreat coming up in January, so that'll reset the mind or something. But the best thing I've done in my decades of research, so you don't have to do it, is taking my improv class. So I'm going to tell you my story about how I got into improv and encourage you to consider it for yourselves. It came to me, the seeds of this idea came to me from the most surprising source. It was my friend who's a very conservative guy. He was like president of the college Republicans, and he's a stodgy fellow. And he calls me up and says, hey, I'm doing an improv show. And I was like, what? Smart guy, he's funny, I gotta go see it. So I go and see it, and then he won't let up on me afterwards. Like, he's like, oh, you gotta sign up, you gotta do it, you gotta sign up, you gotta do it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, and I'm taking his word for it, taking his advice to heart, and the universe is poking at me from all these different directions, just sort of like suggesting I do improv. So it took me 2 years after I saw him before I actually signed up. Along the way, my therapist he's telling me he gets excited about the idea of me doing improv, and he's got citations. And I think my tip over moment was walking down the street and I saw a stranger. I knew him, but he didn't know me. I had recognized him. He was on stage with my friend. And I'm a gregarious fellow. I like to meet people. I want to say hi to them. I want to tell them good job on the show. And it was a long time ago. But I'm also human. I have natural human fears and anxieties. And I realized he had something. He had an identity. He had a brand that I had seen him on stage pretending to be a pterodactyl while people like pretending to throw bananas at him. If he could handle that, he could handle a friendly fellow on the street saying, hey, I saw you on stage, nice to meet you, thank you, and all that. So he had this aura that I wanted, and I said, that's it, I'm gonna sign up. So I sign up for classes, and I'm showing up in a suit, and there are people there who are way more serious about theater stuff. I've never done theater stuff. But the teacher, the 5 weeks with this teacher changed me, just in seeing that a person could go 5 weeks teaching and never say a negative word. Imagine his task to get adults comfortable on stage. That's quite a lift. But he's managing culture with his leadership voice. He's raising the energy, and it's always 100% positive. We'd be on stage like, oh my God, how did I do? What was that? Oh, it felt so awkward. That was stupid. I wish I hadn't said that. And that's a natural response. He just says, here's the 3 things I love. That was fantastic. So at the end of the 5 weeks, we have a show. And the show's it's structured, so it's hard to fail on a show. Level 1 shows are always actually really fun. And they end up being really good, too. I realized, let me get to it. So, at the end of somewhere right before the show, someone says to me, "Oh, are you doing level 2?" And I said, "Wait, what? I thought I was done. I thought 5 weeks was the whole thing." Okay. There are 5 levels.
Oh, wow.
So a year later is when I realized that this was the best thing I've ever done. My wife would tell you that I am more carefree. I'm more fun. There's a metaphor when you're going down a slide. When you're nervous, you put your feet on it, and your shoes make it very awkward and complicated. But if you pick your feet up and slide down, it's way more fun. So I have more fun meeting people. I don't take myself so seriously. And at the end of the 5th level, during the 5th level, every Wednesday, we are the show. So here's the thing. We went from newbies, beginners, with our kindergarten teacher, right? And we're nervous for 5 weeks and we got to do one show. We get to the 5th level, we're doing a show every Wednesday. People are paying to come see us. We're the show.
Wow.
And we don't even think about it. That, just looking back and seeing that kind of growth in 1 year as an adult, that was tremendous. A personal story I'll share with you also. I had a terrible boss at the time. I mean, she was a monster. She would call me out in front of everybody. And I was miserable at work. Improv helped me during that time see her as a character. So I knew how to come in and play off of that. Oh, she's a monster? I know how to play against a monster. I'm going to make it worse. And I could. And everybody was on board. It makes it fun. Humor is a very useful defense mechanism, or coping mechanism, I should say. And I like to tease my wife that women, if you ask them, what do you look for in a man? They'll say a sense of humor. Well, I tell my wife, hey, you got a guy who's out there improving himself in that most number 1 area just for you. So give me some credit. So my fears of being on stage and saying something ridiculous completely transformed into those ridiculous things actually would be more fun. If I stood up here and told you I had mommy issues, you would think that's funny rather than me being just destroyed by it. And this is what improv has done for me. So I would like to invite you to participate in some kind of improv thing. Okay, so I'm going to invite you to, there's 3 ways to participate, and I'm volunteering to be your friend and helper. Number 1 is you could come to a show with me. Okay, I have these are Friday nights. We could do that. I'll just go to, I like to go to the shows. I'll go to the show, I'll sit with you, we can watch a show, that's it. You could come see my show, that's probably your best bet. Come see my show, I'm gonna act like an idiot on stage. It'll be funnier than this, I promise. And the 3rd one is you could sign up for a class yourself. See me afterwards. I have these to hand out. My phone number's on there, you can text me. Thank you all, have a great day.